Hello, my crafty friends. It's Marie from Mariesvermontcreations, and it is day 11 of the Countdown to Christmas card series with Michele from Scrap Secrets. And the theme for today was interactive. And so my go-to always is shaker card. But so to change it up, I am going to show you again how to make a liquid shaker card. So we are going to use that hair gel. And then I have supplies from Lawn Fawn, the Ready Set Snow die sets, stamps, and shaker dies. So I am just placing my die so I can make sure that I didn't make my table, too far up, that I didn't leave myself enough room. So this is going to be a 5x7 card. So this panel is 4.5 by 6.5. So I am just using some painter's tape or post-it tape. And you see me here debating, did I really want forest moss? And if I had to do it over again, I would have not used this color. I really was thinking I wanted a different green or even a blue, but I didn't want to do all blue. So this is kind of my wallpaper, if you will. So I'm just doing a quick light blend of this, and then I will put this stencil over it and tape that to my table, and then go in darker with the forest moss to give very old school wallpaper look. But like I said, if I were to do it again, I think I would do a different color. And then once I get this ink blended on, I will remove the tape and cover up where I've just blended, cover up that line. And I am going to use antique linen. And then I will die cut my snow globe shape out. So while I'm working on that, I just thought I would talk to you a little bit about the series. So this is 25 projects, so we're already at 11. This is crazy. I think this is going to go by really fast for the rest of it. So it's 2 projects a week, Mondays and Fridays at 2 p.m. Different themes, techniques. I will have Michele's channel listed down below. So I want you to go check out her channel, because interactive cards are definitely more her thing. So I can't wait to see what she's created for this one. And I would just want to appreciate everyone who watches the videos, subscribes, interacts with my channel. I truly appreciate it. I will be doing a giveaway at the end of this series. I will randomly select one video and select from those comments. So the more that you comment, the more likely you are to be entered into the giveaway. So that is my panel right there. I don't love it, but like I said, if I had to do over, I'd do it a little bit differently. What color let me try that again. What color scheme would you have used? I don't dislike it. It's just not, it's not my favorite card. So I also cut out the frame, and so I'm going to ink blend on this with walnut stain, I believe, just lightly. I didn't go, over it multiple times for it to be very dark. To give the snow globe look, I could have done this in blue and done where I'm ink blending now in brown to have like a wood base. I could definitely have done that, but I ended up doing the whole thing in brown just to make it a little bit easier on myself. And then I will adhere this, to that opening with some liquid glue. But first I'm going to stamp the Merry Christmas sentiment, which is from that Ready Set Snow stamp set from Lawn Fawn. They come in these little banners, which are really cute. And I'm going to use the VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink to do that. And I only needed to stamp it once. One reason I absolutely love this ink for stamping sentiments, because I don't tend to have to do it multiple times. And there it is. And I remember the name of it today. So, and it's early in the morning because I'm doing this last minute, of course, but I have a day of doctor's appointments, so I'm early for one of them, so I'm just sitting in the parking lot doing my voiceover, so just to get it done. Now, hopefully, once I'm done, I will remember to upload it after my appointment so that it's up on time. If it's not, I apologize. That's not my norm, but, it does tend to happen. I did have to fiddle with this frame a little bit to get it to adhere to this panel, because it's quite a snug fit. And so just, it didn't happen immediately, but I did cut a lot of that out because you didn't need to sit and watch me fiddle with that. So now on to the liquid shaker portion of it. So I have this little baggie that I have taken. I'm going to show you one as it comes. So it has this writing on it. So I just take my alcohol, spray it down, and that wipes right off with a paper towel. So then you have a clean bag. So I'm going to put in some loose white glitter. I just eyeballed it, it's one of those things, measure with your heart. And then just a little bit of the hair gel. You don't want to go too much because I don't want it to burst. That's always my concern, that this bag is going to pop, when somebody mushes on it too much. So I didn't go with a ton. Of course, then, the camera's right above me and I got the bottle in your way, so you can't really, but it's not, it's about that much. So nothing too much. And then the fun part is taking this, sealing the bag, and then squishing it with your hands to mix it all together. I said in the last video I did of this that I could just play with this in a bag on its own, like make a sensory bag, because it's very soothing to just play with this. So it's an idea for you. You could do a bigger Ziploc bag if you have children. You could put different items inside for them to move around. I obviously wouldn't make them pokey because you don't want to tear your bag. And then once I get it all mixed up, I'm going to squish it to one side, and I'm going to add some double-sided adhesive to underneath the closure of the bag so that I can seal it onto itself to hopefully prevent it from leaking at all. And then I will add it to our project, again using double-sided adhesive. I definitely wouldn't recommend liquid glue for this. I would not have the patience to wait for that to dry. That just sounds like absolute torture to me. So I'm just going to fold this down and press it really good. And I did make sure that bag is sealed. So there's kind of once I move it back to where it belongs, you can see what it looks like. And it definitely does give that snow globe effect, and it's just fun to squish on. So then I'll put some double-sided adhesive around the opening so that I can adhere the bag. I don't know, have you ever made a liquid shaker card before? If so, what technique did you use? Is there, more than one? I'm not sure. This has been a few years since I made one. I did it when I was doing design work for a Sparkle Blends, the embellishment company. This is where I decided to do that one, and that one I had done was an ocean theme. So this one I thought would be fun to tie into the winter snow globe theme. So once I get the backing off, which is always a challenge because I always seem to have just cut my nails when it's time to do any of this kind of thing, and then I will line up the bag and just adhere it down to make sure that it's where it needs to be, and squish some of that into the center where it's going to be seen. And then I am going to work on the background panel where I'm going to put my images. And so it's just a scrap of white cardstock that I will cut down because it's definitely way too big for what I'm looking for. So I'm going to trim it down with my scissors. It doesn't have to be precise. As long as it's bigger than that opening, you're good to go. And then I am going to take my dirty ink blending brush, once I, of course, make sure that I didn't, I cut it down to a small enough size. I'm going to take a dirty blue ink blending brush and just put on what's left of that, just to give it a little bit of color because I didn't want it to be stark white in the background. So once I get my ink blending on, then I've already pre-stamped and cut out a lot of the images from the stamp set. Some of them are already colored, so the tree and the snowman are already colored. And then I did pick a row of little, like a church and a house, houses. I picked those. I was going to do the Santa and the sleigh, but I don't know. It didn't call to me today. But I off screen will color in the houses, and then I'm going to play with the placement of where I want these in my scene. You could definitely use any small stamps that you wanted to be in your little shaker. You could definitely do that. You could put your own photo, like if you had the ability to print small pictures, you could definitely put them in there if you wanted to. That would be really cute. If you wanted to do like a small version of like your family Christmas photo, that would be fun. So once I get them where I want them to be, I'm going to then adhere them down with my liquid glue. I am using the Barely Arts glue for this. And as you see on the side, I just use Sharpies to color in the images. Nothing fancy. There's no shading. There's no blending. There's nothing. It's literally one color, and they're so small. And once they're behind the glittery hair gel, you're not going to be able to really you're not going to be focusing on the coloring. And if you are, then you don't deserve this card. You shouldn't be judgy. So, and then once I get all of the images adhered, I am going to go around this panel with the double-sided adhesive so that I can adhere it down. I do trim off a little bit more of the panel, since when I put on my scene, I went a little bit too low, or it was off a little bit, so I just wanted to trim that to make sure that it wasn't sticking up behind my main panel. And now I'll get the double-sided adhesive on that and get that adhered. And then off screen, I took some foam tape and ran it around the outside of the big panel, the one that's 4.5 by 6.5, because I wanted it to be standing up some. And I kept it out of the video because I have purchased this Amazon foam tape multiple times. I've never had an issue, but this particular roll has been a battle. Like, it's hard to get it to take the backing off. I struggle. So I'm laying the panel down and laying the bigger panel over it so that I can get my placement correct, and just lining that down. And of course, squishing it some, because that's what you have to do. And then once I get the foam tape on, I am going to take my 5x7 white card panel and then just adhere that down. And that is going to complete the project for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them for me down below. Check out Michele's channel, which I'll have listed down below. And as always, I hope that you have a great day.